All right, and we're live. I'm trying something new today. This is going to be a composer talk, and I wanted to know if us composers regret buying sample libraries. Do we get all caught up into buying all the latest and greatest? And do we ever regret the ones that we do purchase? We thought we were going to use it, and we didn't. So that's my discussion for today. I thought we would try a little bit different. We'll try to do this composer talk live so I can get some audience feedback. So it's not just me. We can kind of get a discussion going here. So, what I wanted to talk about first off is the art, not the art, but just going out and buying sample libraries. I think us as composers, we get this feeling that if we go out and get the latest and greatest, new sample library that's on the market, that, oh my God, it's going to improve us as composers. We're going to compose better and stuff like that. In a case, it might. I think there's certain libraries that lend themselves to, improving your sound or bringing new characteristics to your music. But I don't want us to think that we need to get caught up in chasing sample libraries. I know when I first started out, in this, I thought I had to get the latest and greatest. Oh, what's that composer using? What's that? I need that library because that's what they're using. So that's what I have to use. And I think over time you learn that no, it's not. What you need to do is you need to learn the sample libraries that you have in and out. You need to learn what they can and can't do. And based on that, I think then you'll start to know where you need to fill in the holes and what libraries you'll need to buy. That's where I'm at now. So I don't really pay attention to like what's the latest and greatest. I try to learn with what I have. And then when I go, well, you know what, this one isn't working for me, so I need to go out and find something that will suit my needs. And, like I say all the time, the sample libraries that I use predominantly are Cine samples and East West, and I have a little bit of Spitfire. And I think those, for the most part, cover all my bases. And then on top of that, I have some libraries that, that I use in addition to, like Omnisphere and stuff like that. But with the libraries that I have in use, they work for me, and I'm still learning how to master them and how to program them. I think that's the key with sample libraries is learning how to use them. But anyway, so part of the other discussion I wanted to have today is what sample libraries have I regret buying? Because like I said, when I first started, I got up into everything and started, buying everything and thought I needed this, thought I needed that. And then it turns out after using it for a while going, you know what, this just doesn't work for me. And a big thing for me with sample libraries, definitely like with strings and brass and woodwinds, is the program and the playability of it. That's huge for me. I'm a composer that likes to play it out. I guess that comes from me being a guitar player. I'm so used to, physically creating music with a guitar. And so the whole idea of, a MIDI keyboard is kind of foreign to me because like I said, I'm used to doing this with one hand and strumming. So, it's a big change for me to think that way. So, what I need to do is I need to actually physically play the parts. And sometimes I'm getting used to actually, programming MIDI, and sometimes that can be boring and it can kind of dampen your composing skills. So, like I was saying, like for me, the big thing is, is playability and programmability. And with using Cubase with expression maps makes some libraries so much more easier to do. And I can just program the MIDI notes, like kind of like I'm writing music, out with sheet paper, but I'm doing it with MIDI. So that's why I like East-West stuff, because they tend to lend themselves very well to that. I hope I'm not clipping. I'm hoping everything's great. Like I said, this is a trial run for the live stream. This is warts, all imperfections, everything, no editing. So I thought this would be better for Composer Talk because it can give us a dialogue. Right now there's nobody joining, but I'm sure there will be people joining in here and they can give their feedback. So let's get into the meat of what I wanted to talk about today. And that is, do we regret buying sample libraries as composers? And I will say right off the bat, I've regretted a lot. Not a lot. I would say a few libraries that I bought that I had the intention, like, this is it. This is going to be the library I'm going to use. And then when I start writing and, creating my compositions, I put the library in there. I'm like, yep, that don't work. That's not going to work for that piece. But, on the same hand, don't be discouraged by that, because you never know when that sample library will lend himself to a composition. Just because it didn't work for that one might work later down the road. So that's another alternative thing. So don't just think that, oh, if you regret buying that sample library, right now, maybe 6 months to a year later, you're going to get that use out of it. So the way I tend to like to think about sample libraries is they're tools. It's just like a guitar pedal, an effects pedal. They're different sounds and they do different things for what you need. But I like to have my bread and butter, my go-to sample libraries that I know in and out, and that I know, hey, when I'm gonna write with this one, that's what I'm gonna get. I know exactly the output that's gonna give to me. So anyway, let's dive in here. Let's switch screens. And so we're just going to go in Contact, because most of the libraries that I've purchased are Contact based, besides Play. But there's nothing on East West so far that I've bought that I regretted. I have the Hollywood series, and then I have a couple. I have an ethnic one, and then I just bought Storm Drum 2 on their sale that they're having, and I loved. So because I used to have East West Composer Cloud, and I actually used it a lot back in the day when I first started out. All right, so I just got Complete 11. Native Instruments was having a deal for the upgrade special, so I got it. So that's why these libraries are up here. Just ignore that. I'm really excited to try out this one right here, Unicorda. Really excited to try this out. So let's get in here. So what libraries have I regretted buying? Well, as you can see, here's all my Cinesamples. So really, to be truthfully honest with you, is the Symphony series from Native Instruments. I was really hoping a lot from them. I did like the brass libraries and the string libraries a little bit, but for my type of writing, they just don't really lend themselves very well. Now, if you're doing epic, bombastic and epic music and really just stuff like that, then I would totally go for the string ensembles and the brass libraries, because they just have a real good oomph on them. And I tend to write like softer type music or kind of marchy. I kind of get into the epic thing, but not so bombastic. I like to have dynamics in my music. So yeah. So anyway, I was trying to use the brass ones. I think they sound good, but to me, I think they really sounded very synthy, like a synth type of an instrument. It didn't really sound natural, what I'm used to, because I'm so used to using Cinesamples, brass, like Cinebrass Core and Pro, and I'm used to using East West Hollywood, and those just have a little different characteristic for me, that Hollywood kind of sound. And so I guess that might be why I didn't like it. I'm not saying it's a bad library. It's just, it doesn't work for me. Let's just pull up the horn legato patch. Now I'm hoping you guys can hear this. Like I said, this is a trial run, but I hope to do this in the future with Composer Talks, is to have a live stream. So I'm hoping the live stream can hear that. I'm just making sure all the routing and everything is perfect. So if not, definitely let me know in the chat or in the comments below that, hey, dude, we couldn't hear anything. See, right there, the legato patch. See, it sounds good. Like, it has a really good sound, but it's when you go to the next note, it just sounds too synthy for me. I can just hear it. Like, I haven't used this library in a while, and it actually sounds pretty good. But like, it just, to my ears, I know there's just. Hold on, I'm fixing the level here. There's just something about it that just doesn't work for me. Like, I think it's well, I had the dynamics up a lot, so let's turn them here. I know you can adjust the attacks and the vibratos and stuff, but like I said, this is one library that it just didn't work for me. Like, the way I write my compositions, it just didn't work. It didn't lend itself. 'Cause I remember I was doing brass chords, and it was just too overpowering. I tried adjusting like the volume and dynamics and everything, but then the sound of the way the library sounds just didn't lend itself very well to my style of writing. I have to mention Sound Iron did produce this, and they're a very great company. Uh, but yeah, so I mean, this was one library I really had high hopes for, but in the long run, I just don't really use it as much, and I felt like I wasted a lot of money on it. I'm not saying it's a bad library. I'm not saying it won't work for you. It just doesn't work for me and my style of composition. All right. So let's get rid of that. So the second one is definitely the string series. I think this one though, I didn't hate it as not hate's a really strong word. It didn't work. The brass library just didn't work for me. But I think the string library can work for a lot of people. Definitely, like if you're into that, like I said, that epic tile music and you need that aggressive strings, or you just like aggressive strings. I felt like this one definitely lends itself very well to that. Um, but they sound pretty good. I have a question in the chat here, or not question, just a comment says from George Brown. He says, I can't say I regret sample libraries as much as wasting money on so many plugin suites. It could be addicting to keep purchasing thinking I will find something better. Maybe less is more. Yeah, definitely, George. I definitely agree with you. I think like you said, we plug in suites, like reverbs and compressors and all this stuff. Yeah, we definitely get caught up in that. I know I have. But like I just use stock stuff now out of Cubase. I have a couple Wave stuff, and I love Slate Digital stuff. I use like their the VCC and stuff like that on my output bus. But yeah, I'm totally with you on that. That less is more, and especially for composers and creative people. We need less, because when you get too much stuff, you just start freaking out. So I could completely agree with you. And when you start adding up all the money that you spent on all these sample libraries and plugin suites, you're like, oh, did I really? And then because you got to find out like, how many times do I actually use that plugin? But like I said earlier, you just never know when one of those things is going to lend itself to to actually being used. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. But I think like, the thing, I think like plugin suites, like typically they're not as expensive as sample libraries. I mean, sample libraries they're coming down in cost, definitely coming down in cost, which is huge. But I mean, like a couple of years ago, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, like when I was first getting started, I mean, it's easily you could drop, $500, $1,000 on just one sample library. I know Spitfire kind of, some of their libraries are kind of on the expensive side. I know like their brass and woodwinds and stuff. Like the woodwinds is not as bad, but brass and strings for Spitfire is, it's up there. It's about $800, $700 American. And, that's quite a lot of money, just to throw down. So I totally, could see, maybe not regretting, but, when you're making a large purchase like that, you got to be sure that's what you want and that's what you need. I'm just saying for me, I bought these two libraries with the best intentions. I just had high hopes because I like Native Instruments. I think they put out great stuff. What's a plugin suite? A plugin suite is like, let's say a Waves bundle, like reverbs, compressors, stuff like that. Let me see here. Let me open up Cubase. I probably should have just did this in Cubase. Oh, by the way, I just did the upgrade to Cubase 9.5. Yeah, like Waves Mercury, perfect example. So that's what he means. I get he didn't mean traditionally like sample libraries. He just meant like plugin suites. All right, let's open up the. Yeah, I'm really liking Cubase 9.5. I just upgraded yesterday. I haven't spent too much time, but so far, I'm really digging it. The workflow and just everything they've done to it. As you can tell, like the grid lines are a little bit more pronounced, and so I'm still diving into it and still seeing how everything's gonna work for me. But so far, I have not regretted switching from Logic to Cubase about a year and a half ago. I love Cubase. It works for me because it gets me to focus on composing. And at the end of the day, it's what we're going to do. All right. So let's open up here. I guess we could go over my template a little bit so I can show you guys what I'm working with. I've added a few things, but I really wanted to discuss, what sample libraries we regret or what kind of plugins and everything that we regret buying in the long term. For me, those first two libraries, that string library, definitely. Let me add an instrument track here. Give me one sec, guys, so we can have this open. Let me put this down here. So this is the thing, I was hesitant to do live streams with some of my videos because I like to edit and keep them short because of, just this type of stuff. But I really want to bring interactivity to everybody in the community that we're trying to build here. I just think this will lend itself a lot better. All right, so let's see. I wanted to pull up the string. Here we go. So let's just do the string ensemble. Let me know how the stream looks, sounds, everything. Like I said, this is kind of still a test run. I'm running everything on one computer, on my Mac Pro, so I just want to see how everything sounds. Woo! Wow, that's hot. Can you guys hear the can you hear everything? Oh, hold on, I got to switch my outputs. 1 second. Oh, wow, they changed okay. So Cubase actually changed some stuff. That's not what I wanted. Normally you would come down here and you would get, there we go. Maybe it's this one. No, not audio performance. 100%. You actually just sold the string ensemble? Yeah. I'm good, man, because I feel the same way. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, so apparently, I'm probably not seeing this, but they changed some stuff. There we go. That's what I wanted. No, this is not what I wanted. All right. Well, I'm sorry, guys, that this happened. Like I said, this is mistakes and all. But yeah, I'm that guy. I'm totally in agreement with you. I probably should look into selling mine too because I don't use it. It is collecting dust. All right, why am I not seeing this? I want to find the output to change. I could change my outputs to multi-output device, and I'm not seeing it. They see I'm using Cubase 9.5. I just updated yesterday, so they really changed some of these drop downs. Wow. It used to be in the up in here in the studio, but now it's completely different. It's control room. I feel so stupid. I feel like I'm using a brand new program. Let's try the preference. Maybe they changed it. Wow. All right, so now you guys probably won't be able to hear. Yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to hear that. So I used to do my videos. I had the connections, and maybe it's in one of these. I did not know that they changed this. Here we go. All right. Nope, that didn't work either. All right. Well, we might have to go back to just using contact until I figure out how to change the output. Interesting. Maybe it's studio setup. Here we go. I found it. They've rechanged the name. Okay, you guys should be able to hear it now. Let's see here. There we go. Can you guys hear the strings now? I apologize for that. I'm sorry. I gotta redo this this setup here. Something's messed up. Can you guys hear everything okay? A little bit of a delay in the chat. All right. So, I mean, I think these strings sound great, but when I tried using them in my compositions, they're just very overpowering. And like I said, I think the best thing about this library for me was using the spiccatos. Yes. Okay, great. It's got a lot of reverb on there. A lot of reverb. So cinematic. Okay, stereo. Let's see what the closed mic sounds like. But I really think for this library, the thing it does very, very well, these string ensembles, are, like I just said, as a staccato and spiccatos, they sound pretty good. If you like that really, like, you know, I think for layering, using this library as a layering thing would work. I tried that with the brass library. I tried layering it within like other sample libraries. It just didn't work well for me. But I remember doing the strings once in a while. I would layer these in to get a little more thicker, a little more aggressive sound. They work well. So yeah, I think if you're looking for that, a layering library, or, you know, or if that's your kind of sound, that's what the kind you're looking for, it definitely lends itself well. But yeah, off the first bat, those are the two libraries that I can think of that like I never use, I bought and I had really high hopes for. I think there's some like little libraries that I bought. Here, let's look in here that aren't into Contact. Let's go in here. That I just don't use. I really don't. Like Adventure Brass, music sampling is a great library. I wanted to use it more, but for my, like I said, like for my style of writing, it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't lend itself very well. But the playability of that library is amazing. Maybe I just haven't used it enough. Let me pull it up here. I just couldn't get it to work for me. I guess that's the thing. And that's another thing about this, you know, regretting buying sample libraries or chasing sample libraries is another point I want to hit up on is it might not be the library. It might be you know, as the composer. And it might not just scratch that itch that you're looking for. Maybe it's the playability doesn't lend itself very well for you. Like me, I'm not a keyboardist, you know, and I know people that can play the keyboards. They love this library. See, and now listen to that sound. Sounds synthy to me. But I've heard some really good mock-ups of this library. So take that with a grain of salt. Like I said, I couldn't get it to work in my compositions, but I love the library. I love their approach. I love what they do because the playability. That's like something from Star Wars, I think. Yeah. But like I said, I like this library. It's just one I don't use, and I like, you know, looking back on it, it's like, you know, I probably didn't really need this library. But you know, like I said, maybe in the future. I have soaring strings as well, and I use soaring strings. Hey TDEE, how are you? I'm doing well today. Trying something new and different. Trying to do some live streams and you know, bring a little more community activity. Better than just having, you know, me behind the camera talking all the time, which I love to do. But you know, I want to get more feedback from you guys and people. I shouldn't just say guys. you know. And because I like to know what you guys want to see me do as well. What kind of style of videos? Because a lot of the times I'm just thinking of ideas myself and thinking, hey, I think that would be good, and kind of basing it on stuff that I've learned along the way or struggled with. So that's why I do what I do. And but I'd like to hear from you guys, from everyone in the community, what you would like to see. I'm thinking in the future, just as a side note, since this is live, I'm thinking about trying to do a new series, speed composing. So like maybe take 5 or 10 minutes, set a timer, and just go and see what happens. Maybe I might do, yeah, live composing. Everybody wants to do live composing. I know. Yeah, I used to do it. I'm thinking about starting it up again. It's definitely something I enjoy doing. It's just like that sometimes, like, hey, do I have 2 hours or do I have 3 hours to sit here and complete a piece? Would you guys be like, let's just, is short, 5-10 minutes is short though? Yeah, it is short. Well, the idea is like just to see what under pressure, what I could do and how much can you do in 5 to 10 minutes? But yeah, maybe 30 minutes or something, or just do the live composing. Yeah, I think that, I mean, that's definitely what I want to do. Trust me, it's coming in the future. Just a lot of personal things happening right now. So definitely I got to get a time together. I'm trying to find what time what day and time would work best for everyone. Like maybe a weekend, weekdays. Because I know you guys can go back and watch these, in the future. So that's not a problem with that. But yeah, definitely live composing will be coming shortly. I've been wanting to do it for a while. There was a couple of pieces that I was working on. I was like, I started getting on, because like for me, you like the idea of having a timer? Yeah. So maybe we can do some trial runs. Because I can always don't have to do a live stream. The way I record my videos, I can just push record, and then you guys can watch the process, and I can upload it later. But I think it would just be better to have a live audience and you guys to be here, seeing it firsthand, to ask questions or give, because like what I would like to do is eventually get, like kind of a one-on-one, and we can maybe do a piece together, or get some suggestions and stuff like that, to see where we can take the piece, and then I can share my thought process along the way. Because I know, like, as for me, when I watch live composing, that's what I like to hear and see. I like to hear the composer's thought process, what they're thinking, why they went that way, and then just how they do it. Because I picked up a few things. Blakeus, I actually picked up the piano sketch from him, but I've made it my own, which is going to be a future video, explaining about how I'm using it. Because when I first included it in my template, I think about a year ago or 6 months ago, I really didn't know how to use it, and now I'm kind of learning how I use it and how it's going to work for me. So these are all ideas I have with the channel, and like I said, I want to get more feedback from everybody, because it helps me know where to go and where to take this channel. It's not just me. Just don't you guys think that, like, oh, it's just about me and what I want to do. No, it's about everybody. How do you guys like the Hidden Gems series? I mean, so far, what's your favorite series that I've been doing? I'm trying to do a whole bunch of stuff and see what sticks and what works well for me. I tried doing some sample library walkthroughs or reviews. I'm not going to do the review thing. I think what works better is like walkthroughs, like just showing the library, kind of fumbling with it, first impressions, stuff like that. I think everybody would like that, and it kind of gives everybody a sense of, hey, this library is for me, or, oh, okay, I see, it's not really what I like. So those are things that I want to do here and there. It's not, don't expect it all the time, because I have to go out and buy these libraries, so it might be libraries that I want to buy, or into. Let's see, there were some other libraries that I bought that I actually, regret, like in the grand scheme of things, that I go, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. The walkthroughs are good. Great. Are you composing sometimes a soundtrack just for you? Kind of have it in the future to have some or do you compose with a contract? Yeah, so most of the time when I'm composing, it's just for me and to get better as a composer, try new things. Okay. And you know what I mean? So it's just for me to get, because like the one thing I'm going to say here is to be a better composer, you just have to compose. And you got to do it consistently. And lately I haven't been composing as much as I would like to. Like I said, I've had a lot of personal things going on. I just recently lost my job. So, I'm doing some stuff like that. So, yeah, my life's kind of in a lot of transition right now. So that's why I'm hitting the YouTube a little more. I have more time. But yeah, eventually I'd like to make money off my music and to be contracted. I'm working on a short film right now. That's kind of an ongoing thing. The filmmaker right now he's shooting it. So I've only done one. He's doing it kind of episodically. So I've only scored one episode and he's still shooting the other stuff. So it's kind of one of those projects that's just ongoing, and I'm just doing it for the experience. And that's another video I'm going to cover in the future: working for free versus getting paid. My experience, and how I feel on the thing. So yeah, that's something I'm doing that. So yeah, most of the time I'm just composing for me and trying to grow as a composer and try new things. Because look, before you become famous or anybody knows who you are, you can fail and you can do it all you want and take chances, because nobody's going to know and nobody cares. It's when you become Hans Zimmer, John Williams, and these people, you try something new, your audience might not like it. Another comment here. Someone said, though, walkthroughs are good. Great. I'm glad you guys like those. That guy said, hidden gems I watch, but rarely actually get those gems. Yeah. And the whole philosophy about the Hidden Gems series is actually finding sample libraries or instruments that are very cheap, maybe free, that aren't going to break the bank. That's my philosophy, and that's what I plan to do with that series, because I know sample libraries are very expensive. Trust me, I know. I buy every library I have. They're not given to me for free. They're not review or nothing. I buy everything. And, so that's another little thing is like, no, I'm not getting paid to do this stuff. I'm just doing this for everybody and for me to show what I've learned and to help others, because when I first started out, there wasn't a lot of information or people doing this. So I've had to struggle and, learn everything. So it might not be traditional or whatever. I just learn things and then I share them with you. And like the quick tip stuff, that's just stuff I've learned or picked up along the way, and I'm hoping it's helping you guys as well. Or rather, never, because there's only been a few episodes. I have more planned. I'm still trying to find some more. I think maybe 2 more will be upcoming here. I'm trying to mix it up. I'll do a quick tips. I'll do a composer talk. I'll do the hidden gems. But so I try to keep it fresh. Not do the same thing every week. And I try to do weekly videos. I'm trying. I might pick a day, maybe like Wednesdays and Thursdays, every Wednesdays and Thursdays, or just maybe Thursdays, upload a video. I got a comment here. Do I regret buying sample libraries? Throughout the years, I bought so many libraries, but each time it felt like an upgrade. Even if libraries don't get used anymore, I learn from them. Yeah, definitely. Oh, TDEE, go ahead and ask as many questions as you want. That's what we're here for. This is what this is here for. This is why I'm doing Composer Talk live, because we can cover ground here and we can ask questions, because we can't do that when I'm uploading videos. And that was the one thing after doing a couple of the Composer Talk videos, I was like, no, this would lend itself perfect for live streaming. Even if libraries, I don't use them, I learn from them. Yes, I would totally agree with that. I've learned from the libraries, because you learn, I don't like that. So I'm not going to get a library that sounds like that or is marketed to me like that. Also, another little side thing, we also got to remember that sample library companies, they need to make money. So they're always putting out new libraries. And I'm going to be honest here. Spitfire, I love Spitfire. But recently, I've lost track of Spitfire, because every week I'm getting a new email about a new library, a new this, a new that. It's like, dude, okay, great. I understand. But, at the end of the day, they, you get lost. You're like, dude, I don't even know, man. And I'm just throwing money down for what? Because it's the new latest and greatest. And don't fall victim to that. I guess that's my whole thing. My whole if you the takeaway from this whole composer talk today is don't chase, man. Just find what works for you and use it until it doesn't work no more. Then upgrade your samples because I know a lot of us just fall victim. I gotta buy this, gotta buy this, gotta buy this, and then after a year goes by, how many of those libraries do you actually use? Did you get your money's worth? So that's my takeaway from this. Another comment. I actually don't want to ask too many questions though to change the topic constantly. It's okay. Just try to stay on topic. But like if it's an outside topic question, it's okay. Maybe we can save it for another video or another composer talk. So definitely ask your questions so I know, and I'll put them, I'll put them for future videos. Like I said, I need your guys' help to help me with, you know, future videos and where you want me to take this channel. Like I said, this is a contract between the community and me. It's not just me. Of course, I'm driving and I have my ideas, but I want to make sure I'm making content that everybody wants to watch, and it's helping you. At the end of the day, that's my goal with this channel. My slogan, if you haven't seen it on the page, is composing made simple. And what I mean by that is, like I said, when I first started out doing this, I had no clue, and there was hardly any resources. I've met people along the way, and there's a couple good forums out there, but I'm just sharing the knowledge of what I've learned. So I'm trying to make being a virtual composer, doing what we do, easier for you. That's why doing the quick tips, showing you sample libraries, showing you hidden gems, doing these composer talks. It's all that's what it's encompassing. It's just trying to make it easier for you so you can do what you want to do, and that's at the end of the day, compose music, not get caught up in sample libraries and the latest DAW and all this stuff, because we all fall victim to it, me personally. All right, here's another comment. Tell that to people that have been using VSL for years and years and years. Yeah, VSL, man, just to be out there, I've never used them personally. The only thing I've used by VSL is Vienna Ensemble Pro. That's a series that I might do in the future. I bought it. I do have my old computer sitting right over here. This is what I've worked with for years. It's a 2010 Mac Pro, and I updated it, got some SSD drives, and updated the gigabyte, the memory on it, but it's limited to 32. So I was using it as a slave machine, but I got limited with 32 gigabytes. The sample libraries as you see my template in the background here, it would blow up my computer. So I upgraded to the 2013 Mac Pro. So I'm using everything on one machine. And I know I've covered this in a video. With disabling tracks in Cubase is the only way I can run a huge template. End of story. But if you want, a template that's huge and if you want every, sample ready to go, then I would go as a slave machine. So I'm thinking maybe in the future, this Mac Pro I'm using will become a slave, and then I'll buy a newer computer, but I'm good right now. So anyway, what was I talking? Oh, VSL. Yeah, so I haven't really used them, but yeah, I know they would put out bundles and stuff, but really, I think VSL as a company, what I've gathered through other composers and, elders, people that know more than me, is VSL figured out most of the sample library stuff, and that's why they do their stuff dry and they don't bake it in. That's another video that I hope to do is, dry versus wet. But I think a lot of these libraries and these sample library companies and developers, they're going into the baked in sounds, which is great because really sample library companies have made composing for the computer very, very simple the way before it used to be. Because like I said, VSL, you had to build out your template, do all the stemming, do all the mixing or reverbs and tails and all. I mean, very complicated. And now, here we can pull up just to show you guys an example. Let's just pull up this patch here. My favorite patch. One of them is the 12 horn ensemble patch from Cinebrass. And if you look here, if you go into your settings, they have everything here for you. You just turn all that on. They have the reverbs, they have the delays. Everything is right there built in. So it makes our job a lot easier. And, you can choose your reverb sounds, and you could, dry and close. Room sound. So right out of the box, all you have to do is load up these and turn everything on, and you're good to go. But I don't recommend that. I recommend you spending more time and, crafting your own sound. Yes, you have to know your library very well before buying another. It's long to control, and sometimes you do use all the specific. Yeah, Sylvester, I totally agree with you on that. And that's the takeaway. Another takeaway from this is learn your libraries before. Don't use it for a week and go, oh, this isn't working for me, and then buy something else. That was another point I wanted to hit. And don't think that buying a sample library is going to make you a better composer, or it's going to make your composition sound like Hans Zimmer. You know what I mean? It's not. You got to learn the library. It's a whole nut. It's like basically being a virtual composer now. Is you're not just composing music, but you're also learning how to create, MIDI and MIDI curves and all this stuff. So you're doing more stuff. Think about it. I still think that composers of the past that used a pen and paper or a pencil and paper probably had it a lot easier than we do. I think we're set up to fail right away because we have all this other stuff on top of just, hey, I'm just here to compose music. And that's why like adding a piano sketch track is huge because it's helped me just go, no, let's sketch out the piece and then we'll dive in and start doing all the bells and whistles. So like I said, in the future, I'm going to cover a video on a piano sketch and how to use it and why to use it and stuff like that. So that will come in the future. But yeah, definitely learn your library, learn what it can and can't do. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm pretty sure most of you that are watching currently didn't see this, is, make sure you learn the library and you know what it can and can't do. So that's the holes you fill later. Okay, well, I'm missing this with this library, and this library over here does it very well. So maybe I'll add that to my arsenal. So always remember, a sample library is a tool. It's not the be all end all. The piano sketch track has saved me so much time. Thanks for the tip in your template building video. You're welcome, Mark. Yeah, it completely changed everything for me. I'm still hesitant sometimes to use it, but I'm starting to. It's one of those things. Sometimes I don't use it. I'm kind of a discovery composer. I just have to get down and hear what it sounds like, and I start building, and then things just magically happen. But I'm starting to utilize it a little more and trying to sketch out my track before I do it. I feel like that helps me and gives me a direction. But when I'm composing a piece, what I'll do is I'll go in and start using the piano maybe to do a line, or to complement what's already in the composition. So it's kind of a hybrid for me at this point. But like going in the future, I'm really wanting to get down to like, okay, I'm going to sketch it all out on the piano first, and then let's orchestrate. That's the be all end goal for me. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. But I think implementing that for me has changed everything for me, because I'm not just sitting there with doing this for 30 minutes and no, that sound ain't working. Let's pick another one. Okay, no inspiration there. But a piano is very, very clean. You can just it's very clean, and you can get your idea out. Okay, that's the idea. Now where I take it with the samples and the instruments, that's where I'm going with it. So but yeah, I'm gonna do like I said, I'm gonna do a little video because I know not a lot of people may be seeing it, but to kind of give them more. What I would like to do is to show you in action how I use it. So that might be the way I do it. All right. So let's see. Any other libraries that I can think of off the top of my head that I kind of regret buying? Well, yeah, okay. And I'm not knocking this library at all, but this is a perfect example what doesn't work for me as a person and as a composer is sample modeling. I know sample modeling can do amazing things. I've seen mock-ups of people that use sample modeling and they almost sound really real, but the problem for me is you got to really get in there and you got to like program and edit and reverbs and craft it. You know what I mean? And I'm just not that guy. Like, to be honest, I focus on the music because like us as composers, we get hung up on this stuff, reverbs and Oh my God, it doesn't sound realistic. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, it never will. Sample libraries and virtual instruments will never sound like a real orchestra. Once you get over that, it's easy. It gets so much easier, and you're like, okay, I don't need it to sound real. You could try to make it as real as possible, but just remember, you never will make it sound real. There will never be a library that will. It- you know, um, so you know what I mean. So get away from that idea. And I mean, what helps is using reference tracks. I know I've talked about that in my template video. Is put reference tracks in your template to reference. You can get it sounding perfect. But think about this: 99% of people out there aren't gonna know. Only us, the composers, and the people that get finicky about this, we'll know. They won't. But gotta remember, at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about your audience. Who's gonna listen to the music? But it's getting better. Sample libraries have gotten a hell of a lot better. It's just that mindset. I was there. I was there when I first started out. I was like, it's got to sound real. It's got to sound like John Williams. And then once I got over that, and I talked to a lot of composers, they're like, it never will. Because remember, you can't replicate a real person playing a violin or cello or a flute. You just can't. You just can't. So there's my little soapbox. I'm done. But yeah, sample modeling. I think down the road, once I learn, more about production, because like I said, this is another thing. Like the deck is stacked against us as composers. We're meant, all we wanted to do is compose music. That's what we set out to do. But then there's this whole other side of it, production and MIDI editing and all this stuff. And you're like, man, all I want to do is just write tunes. So yeah, for me, the sample modeling stuff, I probably didn't need to buy it, but it's one of those things I might push myself in the long run to go, okay, let's sit down and try to work it out. All right, some other libraries. Well, this one right here, I don't really use it, but I saw Daniel James use this, and I was blown away how he used it. And I was like, you know what? It was pretty cheap. It's orchestral string runs by Orchestral Tools. They do this one right here, Berlin Woodwinds. I love Berlin Woodwinds. They sound amazing. They actually just did an update to the library. I haven't updated it. I just like what they got so far. But yeah, so this one I was kind of a little bummed about, but let me open it down here. But there's some stuff on here though. It's just basically runs, but it's very, pardon me, it's very complicated. Like you can program it yourself. So it's probably one of those libraries that I'll probably grow into. And there's another thing. Let's talk there. Maybe the library you bought is you're just not ready for it. You know what I mean? Maybe your skill level, your programming and all that stuff, you're just not there yet. So maybe in the long run you regret it at first, but maybe, like I said, you'll come to it later when you're actually, able to use it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Maybe your skill level just isn't there yet for the library. I think that's about it for like big mainstream libraries. Like I said, I don't really have that. I mean, you guys are looking at what I use. And most of it's native instruments from Complete. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't really bought anything. I have all of, most of Cinesample stuff because I love it. I love the programming. I love how it sounds. It just works for me. It might not work for everybody, but it works for me. Like there's Cinewinds. Cinewinds, yeah, they need to improve it a little bit, which I think is coming. Actually, they did improve Cinewinds Core, I think. They just did an update this year, and it got a lot better. But compared to Berlin Woodwinds, it's just not there for me. I use Cineperk. I love Voxos. I hear a lot of iffy things about Voxos. At first, when I bought it, actually, here's a true story. When I bought Voxos, I go, what did I do? Because I didn't know how to use it, and now I'm learning how to use it, and I'm actually really liking it. Especially the here. Let's pull it up in the template choir. So here's what I got in there so far. The phrase builder. Once you learn how to use this phrase builder, like the staccatos of Voxos are actually really great. I love them. Let's see here. The thing about Cinesamples, you got to learn how to use their library. That's another thing. Let me see, settings. Because they go from the approach of like being a keyboard player, and like that's how their libraries work, which at the end of the day, we probably all should be learning how to play keyboard. So like you could get really, really sophisticated with this, you know, and building out phrases. Here's all the phrases that come with it. But so far, this is like my go-to, you know, uh, choir thing. I know a lot of other people use what is it, Mars, and I have those, but when I open them, whoops, I should have done that. I forgot this is my template. Yeah, like I bought those libraries. I'll pull them up here in a second. Okay, let's see. I'll show you here. Let's just go through a rundown of everything I have that's not in Contact. So we got, yeah, here we go. Where are they at? I forgot where they're at. I got Daniel James's libraries, Hybrid 2. I'm starting to use those a little bit more. There's some gems in there. Embertone, there's a great little gem I'll probably cover. I got this one here, Cinematic Strings Monster Staccatos. I got it from somebody on a forum. Dude, I'm starting to use it a lot. I don't know where you can get it. I'll try to find out and let you guys know. That might be a hidden gem in the future. Cinematic samples. Starting to grow on those strings are growing on me. I use a Cinematic Studio piano all the time. That's my piano sketch. I love it. Let's see. Audio. Is it audio, bro? No. I got 2 different hard drives here, so hold on. I think these are all my... Okay, so here's my East-West stuff. I don't regret buying any of that stuff. I love East-West. They've gotten better. They've gotten better. The Play engine has gotten real good. They had a bad rap there for some years, but I think they're coming along. And you could get their libraries for cheap. For what you get, the prices that they offer. Like right now, if you guys need to buy some libraries and you're looking for some, go to East West now because they are having some good deals. I bought Storm Drum 2 for I think it was like $200 or $100. I can't remember now. So I've always been happy with them. And like I said, I use the Hollywood strings and Hollywood and all that stuff more than I do. I use hardly anything else. Like I was using Cinesamples, and then I got the Hollywood orchestral stuff from East West, and then I was like, I don't know, I kind of like East West better because the playability. Because like East West, the brass library works very well with expression maps and Cubase. Awesome. Oh, it's so easy to program. All right, I'm trying to find out. Maybe I have them on my old computer. I might have the samples on my old computer. I can't think of the company now. Not Sound Iron. Yeah, Sound Iron. Okay, here we go. Mars and Venus. I know a lot of people use these for choir. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I tried using them. There's just so many freaking patches. Like, look at this. I mean, look at that. These are all... I mean, I guess it's very specific. You know what I mean? Like, it's very specific, and if you need something right away... and I guess this goes back to the point of learn your sample libraries. I just got overwhelmed. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's just insane, man. Folder after folder after folder. So, yeah, I kind of gave up on that. I've used them in a couple tracks, but I just go to Voxos because it works. It's easy. It's simple. It goes back to that point one of the persons made in the library, simple. Just make it simple. Less is more. How important is sound design for you right now? I mean, if you mostly just use real instruments, then you'll probably just play around reverbs and delays, etc. So there is no room for sound design. Yeah, sound design, Omnisphere. That's my go-to. They have so many synths in there. I've had that library. I've had Omnisphere, I think now for a year or 2 years. I still haven't even cracked it open. Like there's things I'm learning there all the time. Actually, next week or the next Hidden Gems video is a patch from Omnisphere that I'm going to share with you. share with everyone. I think everybody's gonna love it if you have Omnisphere. It's a real hidden gem that I don't think hardly anybody knows about, but it works awesome. So that will be a future video. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm a sound design composer, to be honest. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn that. You got to remember, I'm almost 36 years old. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s where film scores were orchestral. John Williams. I mean, that's it. But to be honest, John Williams wasn't the reason why I want to be a composer. Alan Silvestri, as you can see on the wall back here, Back to the Future. Um, I came to Star Wars later in life. I was in high school, actually. I think I was like 15 years old when I watched Star Wars for the first time. But it was Back to the Future. Like that score to me, I have the actual score that I bought. So I've been picking at it, and so it's Alan Silvestri. That score means everything to me. So let's see here. But of course, it depends on what you're writing. If it's for a computer game, horror movie, exactly. Um, so that's why you need a lot of tools in your arsenal. And so buying sample libraries, if you know you're going to use that, I think a good piece of advice, and someone that told me, is wait until you need a sample library to buy one. So if you got that project and all the tools you have aren't working, then you know what you need to go out and buy. Don't just go out and buy stuff. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, because then you might never use that. So buy sample libraries when the need is there. That's another takeaway from this as well that I wanted to cover. I have some notes here. We just been getting off course, but it's fine. So when you get a project, let's say, like he said here, a horror movie. Well, horror movies, are gonna or he says make it work. Yeah, definitely. Or make the sample libraries you have make it work, which you can do, with reverbs and sound design. Like Omnisphere, they have a function in there. Here, let me pull up Omnisphere. They have a function within Omnisphere that you could take samples and then, hold on here. That's not Omnisphere. Yeah, I've done some tweakings to my template, which I'm probably going to do another walkthrough template video here probably in another month or two. I'm still tweaking it, still working on some stuff. But I've added some new instruments and some new ways of doing things since the last one. So there's ways, and like I said, I'm still learning Omnisphere. I've had it for 2 years. I just started using it a little bit more to put underline. Let's just face it. This goes back to being, do we write for samples? Do we write for real instruments? Let's just be honest here. The way that this film composing, game composing is going, we're going to sound design. It's just what it is, and either you're on board or you're not. But there is people out there that want traditional scores, like John Williams, you know what I mean, with symphonies and stuff like that. But I think it's great to blend the two, like what Hans Zimmer does. I like Hans Zimmer. I'm never gonna bash Hans Zimmer. So I like all composers, man. I'm open to it all. I just, of course, a deep part of me has the romantic version of being a composer, But let's just face it, guys. We're beyond that now. The computer, this is it. Every composer is doing this with sample libraries, and so so there's this function. Let me see here. Like I said, excuse me if I'm stupid, because like I said, I'm still learning it. I wasn't really using Omnisphere because I was focusing on being, orchestral composer, and I'm kind of branching out now and learning more sound design, because I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not a sound designer. I don't know anything. The only way I've done sound design is with my guitar, using reverbs and delays. So I guess it's pretty much similar to that, but I'm not a synth guy. And I'm a guitar player at heart. Like that's my first entry into music, was playing the guitar, rock music, metal, and it wasn't until I got into Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, and like mostly Steve Vai, that I started going down, and Yngwie Malmsteen and all that stuff, shredders. When I heard Yngwie Malmsteen's, when he wrote Concerto for Electric Guitar, that was it for me. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to write that. I want to do it for guitar. So, but it's changed over the years. And I love film music. Let's see, what's a film score that changed your guys' life? What's something that you blew you away? I'm curious to know. Like for me, there's been a few. Of course, Back to Future, and then there's this independent film that Johnny Depp was in. Was it called Dead Man? Neil Young, I think it was Dead Man. Neil Young did the score, and it's just guitar. Like he's doing slides and doing volume swells, all this cool stuff. So check this out if you've never heard of it. I think it's Dead Man. And when I heard that, man, I was like, dude, we can do it. Guitar players can score movies. Holy, it blew my mind. This was like this is my late 90s, early 2000s when I heard that. And it just blew me away. And like, oh my God, I can write a score on my guitar. So I think traditional scores are not outdated, but I know which movies actually are written in a symphony other than Star Wars movies. Yeah, it's not outdated. There's a time and place for traditional scores. There is. And there's some movies that lend it well, but you know, but you got to understand most Hollywood movies don't. They just don't right now because the way they write movies, it's a whole thing. If you guys don't know Mike Verda, check out Mike Verda. He's a composer. He's a teacher. I've learned so much from him. I bought all his classes, his master classes. I recommend them highly, highly. But the way that we write films now, it's not a 3-act structure. It's like 8 acts. How can you write? And composers don't get locked picture. They don't get a locked picture. They're still changing it, before it's released. So how can you write music on a scene that's changed? So that's another reason why. And we're going and Hans Zimmer. I mean, he's changed it, man. He changed the game. He changed it. I mean, you got to give Hans Zimmer credit. You have to. Yeah, a lot of people don't like what he does, but he took an industry that was probably getting stale and just said, nope, we're not doing that no more, and we're going to do this. And now look we're how many years in? Everybody sounds like Hans Zimmer. So my philosophy on this is do what Hans Zimmer does, but make it your own. So what do you do well? And this is what I'm struggling with now. I'm a guitar player, so I need to find a way to incorporate my guitar into this style of music. So that's what I'm struggling with right now as a composer. But what you do well, do that, but try to wrap it with the Hans Zimmer thing. But don't be Hans Zimmer. You're not. You're not going to be John Williams. Not going to be Alan Silvestri. You're not going to be any of these guys. You're going to be you. So do you, and do it well. Do most movies these days have actually like a theme soundtrack which you instantly No. I would say no. No. I mean, if I tell you Superman from 1977, dun, 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 or Indiana Jones or Star Wars, you can hum it like that. Justice League, hum it. Now, what's the main theme to Justice League? What's the main theme to Batman? There's this great masterclass that Mike Verda did. Where he actually dissected. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Let me look here real quick. Maybe I can get you guys the name of it. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Okay. I think it was Scoring One. I think. Yeah, I think it was Scoring One. Well, anyway, he put up from Batman Begins and that theme. The horns that you always hear in Batman, or I can't remember off the top of my head, but that sound that Hans Zimmer did, it's like 3 notes or whatever, and you hear it throughout the movie. He made a great point. He said, it's the same sound throughout the whole freaking movie. If you listen to Star Wars, John Williams will give you the touch of the theme, but it's not the full theme. You don't get that till the end. So, you know what I mean? But the Batman one, what is it like? I think it's it's E to D or something, or F to E. I can't remember the 2 notes. It sounds the same throughout the whole. So your character, the music's not going through the character's journey. If that makes any sense. like, here's my great example. Put on Back to the Future. Don't watch the movie. Just put on the soundtrack and listen to it from beginning to end. Or put on Star Wars or any of these, or Superman. You will see and hear, you'll see the movie play with the music. You'll know exactly where you are in the story. Now, take that with a modern score. You're not going to get that. You're not going to know where you're at in the movie because you just don't know. And I'm not bashing it. I'm not bashing it, okay? I don't want to come off thinking like, oh, well, that way's better than this way. No, it's just a different approach. And the movies that we write today are different from the movies that we wrote 30, 40 years ago. The movies I grew up with, in the 80s and 90s. We're not writing those movies. So, of course, the music's going to change. Makes sense. So, no, I would say, I mean, I'm sure well, here, I'll give you a great example of a modern day score. If you want themes, animation movies. That's where they're doing it. Animation and video games. That's where it went to. How to Train Your Dragon. John Powell, man. I bought that score, and I was blown out of my mind. I was like, holy, this is amazing. And it's an animation film. There you go. If you don't have How to Train Your Dragon, buy it, study it. Great stuff in there. I mean, he's doing for that score, man, he was doing what John Williams was doing with Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Someone said Alien blew them away. Yeah, I've listened to. I have the Alien soundtrack. I've listened to it a few times, and it's very sound designy kind of. I guess I don't know it very, very, very well. I do own it, and I just need to sit down and listen to it. But I actually like most Hans Zimmer scores because the overall chord progressions are simple but powerful. Yeah, exactly. And that's why everybody loves Hans Zimmer, because it's simple. But here's the thing about John Williams. I'll give John Williams credit too. He starts simple, gets you, grabs you, holds you, then takes you to a new place. Hans Zimmer, or that, not just Hans Zimmer. Let's not be so specific. Epic music and stuff like this. They grab you, but they keep you there. They don't take you anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like a straight line. When you're listening to older scores, they're taking you on a journey, but it's still there. It's still rooted in from the beginning, and that's just classical music. That's that way of composing, and that's why John Williams can do that. Is because he's been a trained classical composer. You know what I mean? Hans Zimmer comes from the rock world, like me, like most of us. Hey Todd, modern day how you doing, Jody? Modern day movies do have themes. Take the last Wonder Woman, for example. I haven't heard it. I do know Batman v Superman on that soundtrack. I think I like the Wonder Woman theme the most. It was the most catchy. It was awesome. I loved it, and it sounded great. So I can't comment on that because I haven't seen the new movie. To be honest with you guys, I don't really watch very many new movies. There's just, I gotta say, I'm 35. I'll be 36 less than a month. I come from a different era. I'm kind of in that in between era. You know what I mean? Like old school, but yet new school. I relate to everybody that's younger and, but you just got to remember, I grew up in the 80s as a kid. I saw E.T. as a kid. I saw it for the first time. I saw Back to the Future. I was in the theater to see part 2. I didn't see part 1, but I saw part 2 in the theater. You know what I mean? So for me, that's just what it is. When I went to see movies, it was every freaking movie I saw had John Williams or had James Horner or Alan Silvestri. I mean, that's what I grew up with. So, all right, so here we go. The thing is, directors do not want motive-based scores like Williams. No, they just don't understand it. They think they don't want it. But I guarantee you, if a composer writes well, this is a very tricky subject, You gotta, as composers, let's just say this. As composers, you have to write to the film. That's it. So if the film calls for that, you write it. You know what I mean? I guess that's the easiest way I can put it. You know what I mean? You gotta write to what serves the picture. So if it's underscore and it's ambient and it fits it, do it. Because you're always gonna get critics, man. You're always gonna get people like, I hate that. Who cares, man? Do what you want to do and do it well. If the director's pleased and happy, you've done your job. You're not gonna please everybody. And that's just a creative artist thing, and that's something I've struggled with a lot that I'm working on. Um, Learn to accept criticism. That's the best piece of advice I can give to you. Embrace it and use it to your ability to get better. Don't take it personally. Get your ego out of the way. It's a hard thing for us. It's hard for me. It's hard for everybody. But I think that's the best piece of advice I can give you all is give everyone is learn to receive criticism very well, and it will help you. There may not be as dramatic as previous cinematic themes, but there are progressions in melodic movement and repetitive. Yeah, dude, music is music. We're all using the same chords. We're all, you know what I mean? Everybody, John Williams uses the same chords as Hans Zimmer and you use. They just use different flavors of the chords and different scales. But it's the composition. You know what I mean? John Williams, he's modulating, he's taking it here, he's taking it there, he's going all these places, but they're all connected to that theme. Like here, I'm just gonna give an example. This is just off the cuff, so take it as it is. Whatever. Superman, okay? So what he's going to do is, that's the thing or whatever, if that's even the thing, he'll build on that. So everywhere in the piece is going to have that same movement, you know what I mean? That same movement of the melody, the same jumps, the same rhythm. So he might transfer that to the chords. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean? So like that's what he's doing, and he's moving it all around. He's moving it to all these different instruments, woodwinds, brass, strings, and all this stuff. But when you listen out, like Hans Zimmer comes from the rock thing, and if you're a rock guitar player or you write rock music, your standard rock stuff, it's usually 3 chords throughout the whole song. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to say. It's different. It's different. But I'm not saying one's better than the other, because I love Hans Zimmer too. And, I love the Dark Knight, or, the Dark Knight soundtrack was amazing. Blew me away when I went and saw it. I was like, dude, that cello thing, that one freaking note, eerie, creepy, fits the Joker. It's perfect. So that's what I'm saying. Don't fall victim to that, man. That, well, one's better than the other. John Williams is, no, they're all great. They all do what they do well. So I don't follow that. I don't get into that. I try not to. That whole thing that we as composers do. And same with, okay, let's reel it back in here. Same with sample libraries. There is no one true best sample library. They're all great. They all do what you want them to do, is create music. That's what they're there for. But what I'm trying to get out of the whole takeaway from today's discussion is just don't get into the chasing of sample libraries, because you will regret it. Buy sample libraries as you need them, or what's missing in your tool belt, your arsenal. Hey, you know what? Like for me, like sound design, like we were talking about sound design. I didn't have a lot of stuff that, did sound design stuff and the risers and all that stuff. I don't have that. So I went out and bought some things that I think I would use, and try to buy things that that you would use in your compositions. But another point, someone said, it depends on what style of movies, video games you're writing. So how do you know? Because you don't know what type of movies or what projects you're going to get in the future. So that's my advice is wait. Get some bread and butter libraries, which, I've talked about many, many times. I think I'll cover a video, or maybe in the future, of go-to libraries that work. They're just workhorses. You're going to get maybe 75-80% of your work is going to come from those libraries, and then those are add-ons. Like the Omnispheres and all the Heaviosity stuff and all that. They're great too. I have a few things of those. But yeah, I guess my takeaway out of the whole discussion today, we're hitting about an hour, because we're gonna start going into other stuff as we already have. And today's topic was regret buying sample libraries and some advice to get away from that and not do that. So I hope everybody enjoyed this first live stream Composer Talk. Like I said, in the future, I think this is the route we're going to do with Composer Talk, because this interaction that we're getting and your guys' opinions and your feedback and your suggestions is amazing. It's crucial. It's key. And I know everybody out there is going to enjoy it. So if you haven't already, this is your first time watching the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you like this Composer Talk, please hit the like button. Go back and check out all the other Composer Talk videos. Please leave your suggestions. And anybody that has any suggestions for future videos, topics, or things you'd like to see me do or cover, just hit it down in the comment section. As I alluded to, look in the future, we're going to go to some live composing. Somebody says here, I regret Saucony strings. Jody Smith, cheers for your thoughts, Todd. And I agree. As a professional composer, sample library quality means nothing. It's all about the quality of the composition. Exactly. And we're going to end on that note. Thanks, everybody, for joining in today. I think we had the most. We had about 11 people watching. I really appreciate it. Like I said, my goal is to make composing made simple. That's my thing. That's my banner. I'm here to help you guys. So just let me know what you need help with. And I will end on that. I'll see you guys on the next Composer Talk. I hope you enjoyed this live stream, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.